Okay, so they're not here, but I talked to an employee and he says they're in the back, so he's gonna hunt for those for me, and hopefully I can get them and bring them home.
I think it's funny that the AAT is Starfighter class.
Oh yeah. Awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, success. They came in clutch. This Target has great employees. They're so awesome. They're so kind. Always be kind to your Target employees because they will help you out. So I'm going to get these home and review them. Here is the new Jango Fett Starship, or if you're an older fan like me, then you know it as the Slave One. This is a Target exclusive, retailing for $29.99. The packaging is nice and beautiful like we've seen already with this Micro Galaxy line. I'm assuming that this is going to be pretty much identical to the Slave One Boba Fett Starship, just with, you know, the updated paint for Jango. So I think it's pretty funny because Boba Fett Slave One was a Walmart exclusive, and now Jango Fett Slave One is actually a Target exclusive. So that's pretty cool that they did that. Which, if you want to see the unboxing and review of Boba Fett Starship, I also did that on my YouTube, so be sure to check that out. So like you saw in the beginning of the video, the Target employee grabbed this from the back for me. They had 6 back there, so this is an exclusive, but I don't think it's going to be that difficult to find. It's currently available on the Target app. I'll have the link in the description below to find that. Like all the ships, the back of the packaging has a collectible blueprint card that you can cut out. There is also blueprint descriptions of what this ship can actually do. The rest of the ships released in Series 2, we have the Light Armor class, which appears to be a battle-damaged TIE fighter, and then we also have Yoda's Starship. Starfighter class has the Gauntlet, which is a Death Watch starfighter. We have a Trade Federation tank and a Snow Speeder. Starship class has the LAAT and the Marauder, which I have already reviewed the Republic gunship, so if you haven't seen that yet, be sure to check that one out. Here we'll showcase the rest of the packaging. I do like the variety that they have within Series 2. We have some original trilogy, some prequel stuff, so I like that they're able to mix that up within the wave. It makes it really interesting. And not only that, I think it's just the obscure ships that we will probably never see that are going to be released. So fans that, you know, particularly love, say, Sabine's TIE Fighter, you know, we're not really going to get that from other, you know, vehicle lines or anything like that. So to be able to have a chance to get that in the future is awesome. And I love all that variety. So this is something that's pretty cool. This is an insert inside the box. So it has Obi-Wan Starfighter and R4 within a battle. So you can use this as a backdrop if you wanted to display your ships that way. I think that's a cool little insert that they included. The Republic gunship had one as well. I didn't showcase it, but for those of you that are wondering, that's what it looks like. It's basically Geonosis and just a big Clone Wars battle. The 2 figures it comes with is Jango Fett and young Boba Fett, which is extremely appropriate for this ship. I just can't get over the amount of detail that these small little figures have. I mean, the paint applications that they were able to apply all over Jango Fett is fantastic. Even like the little blue streak on the front of the helmet, I mean, awesome. I mean, people have done customizations already with some of the other figures, and just the amount of detail that these figures have is insane. I don't know how they do it. Young Boba Fett looks great as well. I mean, there's not much to him besides his little tunic robes. Here is their backsides. You can see Jango Fett's jetpack, so that should be removable just like we saw with Boba Fett. Awesome details. I can't get over how good these little figures look. And just for like size reference, there is a Black Series lightsaber hilt, and they're basically the same size, and it's just crazy how much little details there are. And like the rest of the figures, they have their standard articulation, which is at the legs and the arms, giving them a seated position. And just like Boba, his jetpack is removable. It is a pinhole system. Just pop it off, and we should be able to place it inside the ship next to that weapons locker. Here she is out of the packaging. Color scheme and tones are a representation of what we see within the Attack of the Clones. So we have that kind of like a navy blue with a yellow. There's like a teal, like light bluish, and then the green on the sides of the ship. The overall color of this ship is like an off-white. You can see there is a black wash tone to it. It's not super heavy on this ship. I do think it is maybe a little too clean. We should probably add a little something afterwards to make it look more true to its color representation. But other than that, I think they did a great job within the paint applications, and it looks pretty solid. Here's a better look at her standing more vertical. You can see the paint applications throughout. Very excited about this ship. I love Attack of the Clones. It's probably my second favorite Star Wars film, if not my first. There's just a lot going on within the film, and it is basically the first time we see the Slave One in its earliest form before Boba Fett actually has it. And then on the underside, there is just a minimal amount of paint applications, but it's not something that you're going to be really showcasing too much unless you do display this in a more vertical manner. So like the thrusters and stuff like that are like a kind of like a yellow color. One of the things that it does have is going to be a seismic charge back here. I did wish that we had a removable one, but I figured since they already made Boba Fett's and it didn't have a removable one, I figured that the Jango Fett's one wasn't going to have it either, but it would have been nice to have like an added bonus or like an exclusive part to it. But either way, I'm glad that there is at least a molded version of it there, and that it is on just a hinge and you can close that flap up. Here I placed the figures next to the ship so you can see how small they are compared to this ship, and this is the entire set as a whole. This ship does not come with a stand. This is just an acrylic riser I flipped upside down, and it just so happened to fit in there pretty well for display purposes. So I'm not bummed that it doesn't come with one. I do think a ship like this should have one so you can display it two different ways. I have been displaying my ships from my ceiling. I have been hanging them up there. I will eventually do a tutorial on how I did that on my YouTube. I posted a small one on my Instagram, so if you saw that, then you were able to see how I was able to hang those. Starting with the outside front of the ship, these turrets have articulation. You can move both of them 135 degrees, so you can move them upwards and downwards. So if you want to lay the ship flat, you want them in more of a resting position, you can lay them there. If you want the ship in more of an upright position, then you can move them forward and just in different attack positions. Next, we have a loading ramp. You take this small part, pull it forward, and this will allow access to the front of the ship. This flap will open up. It will click to the bottom of the ship right there, and that will allow the figures to enter the ship. You can see there's some sculpting to the ramp. There's also a small application of black wash throughout. Once those are open, this is a pretty easy way to open up the side panel. Just apply a little bit of pressure, and that'll pop open just like so. That will allow access to the inside of the ship. You can see the little weapons locker. That notch right here, that's where you place Jango Fett's jetpack. You can see his blaster. There's some thermal detonators and a bunch of other weapons in there. While we're down here, this is a better look at that weapons cache. You can see his EE3 blaster, some other little pistols, some thermal detonators. When you want to display his jetpack on here, I find it a lot easier to take this off. You can see there's these little holes at the bottom of this weapons cache, and there's these bubbles on the inside of the ship. So you can actually display it in two different ways, but it pops off and it'll pop right back on. While I have this off, you can see the inside details to the ship. There's like grates to the flooring and maybe like a little shelving or desk type of area. Here I placed both figures inside the ship so you can see how much space there is. So there's Jango getting ready to take his jetpack off. We have Boba who just now entered the ship. We'll close this up and we'll make our way over to the cockpit. Everything should just click right back into place. Moving into the cockpit, it has a smoked glass. It is on a hinge joint. Pop it open. You can place your figures in there. So this does have that 90-degree, like weighted counterbalance cockpit. So you can take this, lay it flat, and the wings will lay flat as well. Bring it up into more of a vertical position, and then the wings will flip upwards. So this is the same thing as Boba Fett's. I'm laying this horizontal. As I start to flip it up, you can see those wings move, as well as the cockpit. Here's a different angle showing the cockpit. As I flip it up, you can see it rotate backwards. Here I have both figures inside the cockpit. It is a little harder to get Jango Fett in there, but once you like squeeze his legs together, you can slide him underneath this little white piece, and then once he's in there, he's pretty much in there. He's not really going to go anywhere. Now that I have both figures inside of there, we'll take the same effect and show you how it looks, and that looks awesome. We'll close the glass so you can see how they look inside. It's so insane how much detail there is to this little figure. I mean, from far away, you can clearly tell that's Jango. It's just awesome. They did such a good job on that little sculpt. Now with Boba Fett's ship, there was a trick where you can basically take the cockpit, pop it up, it'll click into place, and it'll stay in this position how it's supposed to be in the movie. But mine isn't doing that, so I don't know if it was an actual trick that was supposed to be included in the ship or if it was just something that somebody found out. But mine isn't doing that, and I don't want to force it too much and break it, so I'm just going to keep it how it is. And of course, I got to show you how young Boba Fett looks in the cockpit, since we do see him operate that within Attack of the Clones. Here's both starships side by side for comparison and their respective figures. Boba Fett's does come with Fennec Shand and the Book of Boba Fett style of figure. I did wish it came with the original trilogy of Boba Fett as well. Here's the back of both ships. You can see the color contrast between the two. And then both of them do have the flaps for the seismic charges. And here's a close-up of both figures. You can tell that both Jango Fett and Boba Fett have different sculpts and molds, which is great. And it does look like Boba Fett is maybe slightly taller than Jango Fett. Next, we'll do a side-by-side comparison of the Slave One next to Obi-Wan Starfighter and their respective figures, Obi-Wan with R4. Here's another angle of both ships, and I am loving the way they look together. I'm definitely going to be hanging them from my ceiling in some sort of style like this. With measurements, she should be standing as tall as Boba Fett's, so she is looking at about 8.5 inches tall. And width-wise, we are looking at about 7 inches. All right, that wraps up my review and unboxing of the new Micro Galaxy Squadron Jango Fett Starship. It is a Target exclusive, price point $29.99. I will have the link in the description below. As far as the ship goes, I don't really have too much negative to say about it. It is pretty much identical to Boba Fett Starship. So with that being said, I do wish it had a stand so you can display it in a vertical manner, but that's not going to make a big difference for me since I'm going to be hanging it from my ceiling anyways. It might need a small black wash throughout the white parts of the ship, but other than that, I think it looks really solid. The figures are definitely my favorite part. There is so much detail within Jango Fett. It just is unreal. The other small thing that I would have liked to have seen with this ship would have been a seismic charge you can take out, but I knew we weren't probably going to get it based on seeing Boba Fett Slave One, so I'm okay with that. Either way, it is still a solid ship, and I think you would really enjoy having it in your collection. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Instagram where I do toy photography, toy videos, toy hunts, toy deals, and all things toy related. Link in the description below. Be sure to like and subscribe. It is free. And I will see y'all in the next video.